Well, this sucks. This is among the worst news you can get as an NBA fan. Definitely as a Nuggets fan. Jamal Murray, torn ACL. Obviously, you think of Murray first. You hope for a recovery. You hope that the mental health side of an injury is okay with him. And you think about when we're going to see him again. It's probably going to be after next season. I mean, in April, suffering a torn ACL usually takes about a year to get back. I mean, it's possible it could be about 10 or 11 months, so maybe we could see him at the tail end of next year. We'll have to see. As far as when he's going to be fully back, it's probably going to be the 2022/2023 season. So we look forward to that day, of course, and thinking about how this season was going for Murray, I mean, he was playing really, really well. I mean, he was shooting more threes. He was looking more like the guy that we saw going crazy in the bubble. And I think he will still be that after this injury, but it does still suck, of course. I mean, an ACL is not a career ender. The real fear is that it can lead to other lower body injuries, and that's when it can get really bad. But if it's just an ACL tear, you come back and you don't get hurt again, I think it's been established you can continue your career as normal. You just missed some portion of time. So there's that with Jamal. I mean, it's the worst, but now we have to attempt to just look at the Nuggets overall and what do they do. I mean, as far as this postseason is concerned, this, of course, throws a major hurdle into their plans because I and a lot of people were starting to think these guys could be like really, really dangerous in the postseason. And I believed that if the Lakers were not healthy, that the Nuggets would make the finals. And maybe I'm crazy for this, but I still feel like that could be possible, but I'm definitely not as confident. I mean, they've got a couple choices at point guard. You can go with Monte Morris. You can go with Campazzo. Both of them are really good passers. They do what they can defensively, but neither one of them are very big. Jamal Murray, his size was a little underrated. He was like 6'3", 6'4", with a 6'6" wingspan, I believe it was, and he had made improvements defensively. So you got that. And now I think they're just going to have to lean on MPJ and Gordon and Will Barton more. And I mean, I do believe Michael Porter can handle it. He has been great lately for them. That said, while he has been good, it's going to be a little tougher because he might have to create a little bit more now because he was getting a lot of buckets off of just the general Nuggets offense of cuts and screens and the amount of gravity Jokic and Murray have. And I mean, I still think MPJ can give them a lot of points. I'm just saying it's going to be a little more difficult now. Aaron Gordon's going to have to take a few more shots. And I mean, the big appeal of getting Gordon was that he would have offense created for him and he could help out everybody else. Whereas now he might just have to have a few more ball handling opportunities, which again, I still think he's going to still be better than he was with the Magic, but it just hurts. It hurts the overall team because now everybody has a larger role. And I mean, Jokic can handle whatever he has to do, but at a certain point, it just becomes too much for one guy to overcome. I mean, the blueprint now is Jokic continues to be his MVP self. MPJ with a little more shot creation responsibilities starts averaging like 20 plus points a game, which he pretty much already has been the last month or so, to be fair. Gordon has a few more plays besides just like setting screens and getting Jokic handoffs. Will Barton's probably gonna have to take a few more shots. He was kind of already like the X factor of the team, and now I think there's a little bit more of a spotlight on him. And I mean, sometimes he can be awesome from three. He can be beating guys off the dribble, and other times he can be taking some bad shots, and he'll have too much tunnel vision. So we'll have to see with him. To think about their standings in the West, I mean, they're the 4th seed right now. They would get the Lakers in round 1 if it happened today. If LeBron and AD are healthy, I think the Nuggets would lose that series. With Murray, I still think they would have lost, but I think it could have been pretty close, honestly. If the Nuggets get anybody else in the first round, honestly, I still think they could beat anybody. Like, I do think they could beat the Clippers without Jamal Murray. And maybe that's disrespectful to the Clippers, but Jokic has been that good, and I would say the same thing about the Jazz, the Suns, and all that. So maybe I believe in them more than I should after this injury. It's just I still think they're pretty damn good, and it's not like the motion offense is suddenly going to be gone now that Murray is out. It's just going to be a little less scary, of course. But, Morris can still shoot, and he can still make those really quick reads, and similar thing with Campazzo, so you're still going to have to guard these guys. You're still going to really have your work cut out for you to defend them. And if I can think about them in a round one series against the Clippers, the Suns, the Jazz, the Blazers, the Mavs, whoever they end up facing here, I still think they can win. I really do. Now, I guess the last thing to think about with Denver is what type of moves could they make this offseason to give themselves a better chance, knowing that they probably are not going to have Murray next year. Well, for one, I'm pretty sure they can use their mid-level of $9 million. They've got a bit of breathing room until the luxury tax. As far as a trade, they can trade this year's pick this offseason. So if you paired up that pick with like JaMychal Green's $7.5 million, maybe even Will Barton's $14.8, you might be able to go for somebody. We would, of course, have to see who'd become available, but they've got some options to make a move. Now, Will Barton has a player option, so that makes things a little more complicated. He could decline that and go into free agency himself. So they've got some decisions to make. Granted, these were the same decisions they would have had to make whether Murray was hurt or not, but maybe now this will incentivize them to be a little more aggressive than they would have otherwise. I guess if I can think about some players they could go for free agency, again, they've got the mid-level. Is Goran Dragic going to go for more than a mid-level this offseason? I mean, there's a chance that Miami accepts his team option. I have to guess they don't, but maybe they will. I think Patty Mills could give them at least some of the spacing Murray gives them. Of course, not going to give them the shot creation. Perhaps Alex Caruso. Is $9 million a little too much for Caruso? I don't know. To get back to the Will Barton player option, if he opts out and then wants more money, then that, of course, hurts the Nuggets' chances of using that mid-level. I think it's a little tougher to find a trade. I mean, the one good point guard who's been in trade talks recently, that I can remember at least, was Spencer Dinwiddie. But he has a player option himself. He could look to go into free agency, and at that point, the Nuggets would probably not be able to get him because I imagine he's going to go for more than a mid-level. But if you wanted to make a move for him, I guess that could be possible. Suppose there would be some questions about his fit once Murray came back, but if you wanted an improvement at point guard and you were okay with moving the 2021 pick to do it, Dinwiddie might be your best available guy. So that'll do it. Again, we expect Murray to be back to 100% after next season. We could see him next season still. And we hope he's going to be all right, and now the Nuggets have to figure this out. And I don't envy them trying to figure it out.